first speaker is from the YMCA locally here, and please welcome Suzie Slota.
Good morning, everyone. This is really cool. I had heard of A Million Cups before, but honestly only understood a little bit, and so I'm happy to be here. Thanks for the invitation. So the Eau Claire YMCA has been around a lot longer than 5 years. We were founded in 1881, just not even 40 years after the YMCA initially was started in London, England in the Industrial Revolution. So we are one of the oldest businesses in Eau Claire, and we're part of a network of YMCAs that exist around the world, and in particular we're part of the YMCA of the USA. So how many of you have been a member of our YMCA in Eau Claire at some point in your life? Raise your hand. How many of you have belonged to a YMCA somewhere else? Is there anybody here who has never been a member of a YMCA? There must be somebody. This is incredible. I've never talked to a group where there's been such great involvement. That's really neat. So how many of you have been a member of the Y but not in the last 10 years? A couple people. So what's really neat about the YMCA is we are designed to be responsive to the current needs of our community. So what the YMCA in Eau Claire is today is different than what it was even 8 years ago when I started working there, and certainly different than it was 30, 40 years ago or 100 years ago. So while we're one of the oldest organizations, I feel like we're constantly changing and redirecting our efforts. Now, certainly we do some of the things we've been doing for a long time. Swim and gym is what a lot of people think about when they think about the YMCA. We're the largest provider of swim lessons in Eau Claire. We have great basketball programs and volleyball, those sorts of things. We have the workout center and the fitness classes. But we do a whole lot more than that people may not be aware of. In the last 7 years or so, we have developed youth enrichment programs that include art classes. We have a theater program for kids, visual arts, writing classes, culinary classes. We have STEM classes. So we're doing a lot of things that you might not think about the Y doing. And they're small programs, but there was a definite need in our community for kids who wanted to be involved at entry level of theater. For example, a theater program, you auditions, but it's only to figure out what role you might play. Everybody gets a part. Unlike other theater programs in the community that are competitive and you may get a part if you audition. It goes with the Y's mentality of everybody plays, everybody wins. Another thing that we've been doing recently that you may not be aware of is diving into chronic health issues. And this is part of a national movement. Something like more than 80% of Americans live within 5 miles of a YMCA. And national organizations like the CDC, National Institute for Health, some big foundations, big universities are recognizing that the Y has the ability to reach a very large percentage of Americans who might be struggling with their health. And so at the national level, in partnership with really the leaders in community health, we've been developing programs that can be rolled out at the individual Y level. And one of those programs that we've had going at the Y for a couple of years is Live Strong at the YMCA, developed in partnership with the Live Strong Foundation. And it's for cancer survivors. It's a free 12-week program for a cancer survivor, and their family gets a membership. Probably all of us in this room have a loved one that's been touched by cancer. You know, it doesn't just impact the person who has cancer, but everybody around them. And they meet in small groups with other cancer survivors, and our staff have been trained to work with cancer survivors. And we define survivorship as could be you were diagnosed today, it might be that you've been in remission 20 years. Anywhere along that journey, there's a place for you in our program. And it's really designed to meet the survivors where they are and help them grow stronger. They work one-on-one with personal trainers and then meet in small groups. So So that's a really neat program. I've had friends and family members participate in it, and I can tell you that it's transformational for them, both from a physical standpoint. It's all evidence-based, so there's pre-participation assessments and post-participation assessments, and we see across the board increases both in mental and physical health. Another program that is new and really important to us, and I was asked to talk a little bit about profitability of the Y. We have a program called Y Diabetes Prevention Program. This is a program that was developed by the CDC, and they tried to roll it out initially many years ago in a clinical setting. And Marshfield Clinic here in Eau Claire was one of the trial sites. So it was a nutritionist working with a patient or a doctor working with a patient. And while the program worked, they found it was not cost effective. It was way too expensive to deliver the program in that manner. And so understanding the reach the YMCA has across the country, they approached the national office and said, would you be willing to work with us and deliver this program in a class setting, group setting, at YMCAs or led by YMCA staff in the community. And so we began that program a couple of years ago, and it's really neat. For the first time ever, the YMCA is becoming a healthcare provider, and there are insurance companies that are starting to pay, even though this is not a typical healthcare setting. It's all evidence-based, like the Livestrong. The statistics are pretty amazing. Modest weight loss, so 5 to 7% body weight loss, and having physical activity of 150 minutes a week. If you can do those two things, you can reduce the so for someone who's been, the people who participate in this program are diagnosed as pre-diabetic. It's a clinical diagnosis of pre-diabetes. If they lose 5 to 7% of their body weight, exercise 150 minutes or more a week, they can cut the incidence of moving to diabetes by 58%. It's huge. The cost of a person developing diabetes over the course of their lifetime is tremendous for both them and their family and the community as a whole. And so the Y is sort of moving in a new direction, at least part of us is, and becoming a provider, and I think Medicare now covers the diabetes prevention program, and more of the large providers are stepping in and covering that as well. And we really believe that that's the direction of the future. We're to the point probably past the point in America where dealing with people's health problems after the fact is just not working. And what we need to do is work harder on preventative health. But that's a hard thing, how to make money in the healthcare industry, preventing people from getting sick. But that's the direction that they're starting to look as well. It's just a new thing that we need to figure out. Some of the other health programs that we have that might surprise you, we have a program that is a partnership with the Aging and Disability Resource Center in town. The Y likes to partner. We really believe that we can serve our community better and be stronger as a Y if we partner with other agencies. So we're offering a class called Brain and Body Fitness, and it's designed for adults in the early stages of dementia or Alzheimer's. And it's, again, evidence-based with pre and post testing, and we're seeing, again, across the boards improvements, particularly in terms of emotional well-being, both for the person suffering from dementia as well as their caregiver who participates in the program. It's a 12-week program, and it's really neat. I got to go to their Christmas party last year, and they went around the room and they were talking about their best Christmas present ever. And so trying to remember, which was hard for some of these folks, but one of the participants said that his best Christmas present ever was participating in this program because it gave back his identity. And he was a man that I first met as a community leader, and so I had some personal knowledge there of understanding how difficult this journey had been for him and his wife. We also have a program called Enhanced Fitness, which is for adults living with arthritis, and Camp Wabi, which is a camp that we hold up at Camp Manitou. Anybody here go to Camp Manitou as a kid? Nick, I know you did. Really special place. At the end of the summer, it becomes Camp Wabi, and it's a partnership that we have with the Mayo Clinic Health System, and it's for kids who struggle with their weight. And It's not sort of like a boot camp where the focus is on how much weight can you lose, but it's developing healthy habits to last a lifetime. And not only for them, but for their family, because a lot of times that's what needs to change. It's not just for them, but for the family as a whole. So I left some flyers on the table, our program brochure, which has all basketball, swimming, and all that stuff in there as well, but information on our programs. So feel free to grab those and I'll be around to answer questions. So as a Y, we're a nonprofit organization, and profitability is certainly something that matters at the end of the year. We have to be able to pay our bills, something the Y has struggled with in recent history, though we're doing much better. But we also are looking at the impact that we're having on our community. We intentionally will run programs that we don't charge anything for, or we offer at a rate that doesn't cover the costs. And we do that because we're a big enough organization that we can shift some money over, perhaps, but also because we raise money from people in the community, and that's my job. I'm the development director at the YMCA. So we're able to deliver our programs and live out our mission thanks to generous people in our community who make contributions to help us do that. So in the nonprofit world, you hear about ROI, return on investment, return on, or impact, IOI, impact on investment. So we're not really just looking at how big can we get the number at the end of the year on our income statement, but it's really how can we reinvest those funds and help our community in the best way. So like I said, partnerships have been a big part of that for us. We have philanthropic partnerships like John and Faye Menard, who very generously built us an amazingly beautiful 8-court indoor tennis center on the corner of Menominee Street and Claremont Avenue. If you haven't been there, and especially if you play tennis and you haven't been there, go. If you know of kids who might want to learn to play tennis, and especially kids who might not be able to afford it, we offer scholarships. We never turn anybody away from the Y because they can't afford the cost of a membership or a program. And in particular, we're really interested in getting those kids to the Y to learn how to play tennis. So talk to me or send people our way or call us and I can get you more information. And then you may have heard that at the end of August, we bought the indoor sports center. And that was an opportunity that presented itself. We've been tight on space, and you've probably heard that we're looking at building a new YMCA, and I'll show you some pictures here in a sec. But that's probably 4 to 5 years down the road. And so what do we do now to sort of address some of the space constraints that we have? And also the sports center's programming really is very much like YMCA programming. We've been doing a lot of the same things. They've just been a for-profit model. And so we saw that as an opportunity to grow, and we purchased that, and we're really excited to be there. And then we have this partnership with UW-Eau Claire and the Mayo Clinic Health System to build a new Y on Menominee Street, kind of kitty corner from where the tennis center is. And this will be a flyover from kind of an imaginary CBTC, UW-Eau Claire area. You'll see the buildings aren't authentic, but come back. So flying over Claremont Avenue there, going across the river, and you see those red roofs, and that's conceptual design of what the new facility will be. It's a shared facility, like I said, between the University of Mayo and the Y. It will be a replacement for the YMCA's building that is downtown on Graham Avenue. It'll be used by university students and faculty as well as Y members. And then, keep going there. Mayo Clinic will have offices on site. I don't know if they've determined specifically which departments might move there, but think about it. It could be cardiac rehab where their patients are undergoing cardiac therapy. It could be orthopedic rehab. It could be their diabetes patients. Let's see. Here's one that shows you a little bit closer up. The idea being that if people are under direct care of a healthcare professional getting therapy and they're coming to a community place where they get to know the environment and the people, and they feel comfortable, that when they're no longer under direct care, hopefully they'll continue doing what they've been doing because they're comfortable there. And that's how people stay healthy, not just get healthy immediately after some sort of medical event, but stay that way for the rest of their life. The university is also planning an event center that would replace an arena. Basketball for sure, possibly hockey. It's gonna be pretty amazing. So we'll run from almost all the way to Claremont Avenue down to the Hobbs Ice Center, so where the student transit bus barns used to be, and county materials and capital, that whole site there. So we're probably 4 or 5 years down the road. We've formed an umbrella organization just like the university did at Confluence. So it's an umbrella nonprofit organization that will own the site with the 3 partners all sort of having operating agreements and being a part of that. So it's a new model for the YMCA, but it's not new for our community. We're lucky to have the Confluence project ahead of us to sort of work out some of the kinks and how that comes together and operates. And lots of work is happening behind the scenes to figure out really what the space allocations are, what this is gonna look like, what the total cost is. We're trying really hard to keep the project to $100 million. Been a lot higher than that, but we feel $100 million is really the biggest that we can fund. And Claire, it'll be a combination of student dollars, UW dollars, philanthropic donations, possibly some grants. I don't know that we'll get into public money, but we'll see. We received a grant from the government to do some environmental cleanup on the site, so there'll be money like that. So when it opens really depends on how fast we can pull the money together, and if we were to get a really large contribution early on, that timeline could be accelerated. So I probably talked more than that.
All right, well, great presentation, thank you.
Sure.
Is there any quick questions? We do have a second speaker this morning. And our last question we always like to ask is, what can we as a community do for you or the YMCA?
I think probably the 3 biggest things. One is to, when people you're talking to think the Y is just about swim and gym, help educate them that we're more than that. 2, if you are in a position or your business is in a position to philanthropically give to the Y, I promise you that we work really hard to make those dollars go as far as possible. We're not adding, if you've been to the Y, it's not paying for carpet. It's going directly into programs. So I think are wise users of community dollars. And then 3rd, if you're a business, keep in mind the health of your employees, and we have corporate wellness programs through the Y. I think we can really have an impact and help your